Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
But Bobby was here, and I was in a weird thing.
Here we go, boys. Here we go. Another day at the office, Monday night. Everybody hates Mondays. We don't want to go to work on Monday. You know who wants to go to work? The Boston Celtics, boys. Hard hats, steel toe boots, lunch pails, putting in the work. Up 3-1 in the series. No Donovan Mitchell. Little bit of a problem, but not big enough problem. Celtics are on the brink of moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do we say, boys?
I love the optimism.
What do we say?
I don't know. We didn't rehearse that, so you know, it just kind of, you know, hey,
that just took the lead, I think. I mean, listen, there it is. There he is. Bobby Manning speaking of coming to work. Live from Cleveland. New little hairstyle. He's got the gel in his hair. He's Cleveland's most eligible bachelor, I think, tonight. Bobby Manning, everybody. Bobby, I'm going to throw it to Bobby. He's boots on the – speaking of steel-toe boots, he's got boots on the pavement over there.
Agree. Bobby, you started.
Let's go, Bobby.
Yeah, similar game to game 3. I thought Brown and Tatum were fantastic, aggressive, set a tone, paced the offense throughout this one. Drew Holiday, I mean, you don't win this game without him. You probably – might not win both of these games without him and some of the underlying things he did on both ends of the court in this one. These are defensive wins. These are the kind of wins we were asking for, just in terms of grinding it out. The fourth quarter wasn't great. You let another lead slide there. You let a couple leads slide throughout this game, but you set yourself right every time you needed to in this one. And like Joe's talked about, it doesn't really matter how you win as long as you're pulling out these wins. So you give them credit for that. Certainly some stuff that concerns you in this one, particularly in the front court. They continue to be very vulnerable there, and the Horford stuff isn't great right now when you look at him and the way he's playing.
We won't talk about that right now.
It's a good win.
The Horford stuff is starting. Before it was just like, well, you know, it's not that big a deal. They're finding ways to win, but it's going to become a major deal until Kristaps gets back. Just looking at the numbers on Al, I mean, it's getting almost disgusting the way that they're attacking Al and going at him a priority. Even when you listen to like the halftime show where Draymond Green was talking about in 2022, where Steph Curry was saying, look, whatever you do, just bring Al to me and I'll go from there. And that's the kind of stuff that you haven't really heard a lot of in the past. And when you look at the numbers, this has not been a good series for Al. The playoffs in general haven't been great for him, but in this series particular, game 3, they took 29 shots that Al was in position to defend. 29 shots. The game before that, it was like and tonight I would imagine it's probably going to be in the high teens, low 20s once they do the final stats. And the problem for the Celtics is that, you know, they don't have an option to turn to. You could potentially go with Tillman, but there's some problems with that. Luke did, I thought, some good things in this game. He did some not so good things in this game. Al is still your best option at this point until Kristaps gets back. And I hate to start off on a Debbie Downer note, but when I think about this game, it was a hard-fought game. To Jimmy's point, you're right, but in part because Al didn't handle his business the way they needed him to.
Oh, you guys are being I think it's a little too much Al hate right now. The dude led the team in plus minus, first of all. Now, it doesn't tell the whole story because you got to watch it. You got to watch it. He had a nice block there in that fourth quarter, a nice block that they tried to call a goaltender or a foul, and Missoula challenged it, and sure as shit, it was a legit block, and that changed the whole thing around right there as far as I was concerned. So that was a nice play by him. Yeah, I mean, listen, we all know that Al's, out of the 5 guys on the court, he's the 5th guy, right, in the starting lineup. He's in a role right now that he wasn't supposed to be, and that should be Kristaps Porzingis. I got to tip my hard hat to him for stepping up when he's, you know, being called upon. And there's again, it's Al and then not much else. Sorry, Bobby. There's not a whole lot else going on. Cornette had a nice little start to this one, but you see the limitations and the problems when you do the Bobby likes to go per 36, but only when it's convenient for him. I think if you went per 36 with Cornette tonight, you might not like what you've seen, but I got to give Horford a little bit of credit for just sticking it out up there.
I feel like he hung in there.
Yeah, as best as I did. I feel like he hung in there as best as he could. I mean, I don't think that he was the reason why Max Strus was going off on you. I don't think that he was the reason that Garland was running circles out there. So I can't put it on. I think we're starting the show on the wrong topic, but that's fine.
Well, yes, you might be, and the Al was the concerning thing because it was like, oh, this could cost them. Is someone drinking something? Flushing a toilet? What's going on back there? No, we're good. But you're right. It's not the way to start because there was a lot of other things that went on in this game. I think it was the one thing that people were most concerned with. I want to go to the end.
Yeah, it was the worst part of the game, but whatever.
Yeah, I think there's two things. There's two things that people will come out of this and be a little concerned with. Al looking his age a little bit, coming off of 39 minutes. But again, you're up 3-1. You're going to win this series. You're going to get Porzingis back. And Al's going to slide back into his normal role. So, yes, he's miscast at the moment. He gave you a good effort. And again, upon further review, I think a lot of people on Al Horford, I know John Corrales wrote this for BSJ, and I agree with the take. Really, they kind of let him on an island there on some of those switches with Mitchell. And Mitchell hit an ungodly amount of step-back threes. You tip your hat to him. You move on. But at the end of the day, he actually held his own in most other encounters, and I think that was real. Tonight, he did look a step slow on part of it, but as Jimmy said, he had that monster block. He still did finish plus 11, and again, he is going to slide back into it, and he's valuable. The reason his plus-minus is high is because, and again, not an offense to Luke, I think Luke's one of those players where you'll get one good stint out of him, right, okay. And then you're always playing
20 minutes from the night.
No, but I'm saying you're always playing with house money because the first half, you could make the case he looked better than Al, and you wouldn't have been wrong because they were playing well when he was out there. But then the second one, not as much so. But anyway, the other issue outside of the Horford, which I don't think is an issue, was this is the first crunch time game the Celtics have had in a month or so, okay? And the first one of the playoffs, and it was, how are they going to respond? And the answer was not great, but then they did enough. And so there was definitely a lot to be concerned with because they did devolve into iso ball. I tweeted it. They went from 7:56 in the fourth quarter to 1-something with one field goal only until Jalen hit that three, which ended up being the dagger. And that
there was a moment, John, where they almost got an 8-second violation.
Tatum, you saw him skip over the line at the last second when he looked at it. This close. It was as 17 turned to 16, he crossed. It was so close. So they went into that insane slowdown, but good players hit tough shots, and they willed their way out of it, which was good. Here's Mazzulla talking about the crunch time.
Execute down the stretch in a close game against a good team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to be in those situations. Again, it takes what it takes. So, however we have to win the game, we have to do it. So it was good to get reps playing different ways. It was good to play against different defense. They were a little bit sharper tonight defensively. That was good. And anytime you can work on your execution, your clutch offense and defense, that's good. Everybody talks about clutch offense. I thought our clutch defense was good. We got stops when we needed to. We had some 50-50 balls that we got to hang up, and we executed our late game defense. So that's just as important as the offense.
So there it is. And I think that's true, Bobby. We keep saying the defense turns to offense sort of things. You saw them go hand in hand all night long. I think actually particularly from Tatum in the first half, I think one of the reasons he was so energized early is he was locked in defensively, and I think that transfers over. I think the Celtics lose sight of that sometimes where they don't realize how linked they are, and they'll do one thing but not the other, and it really only works when they're doing both.
Yeah, and I think Joe talks a lot about the offense setting the stage for their defense, and the Celtics reverse that in many ways in this series by turning defense into offense. I think these last two games, Brown's buckets were so important. Tough baskets at times, the transition opportunities he just wills by getting up the floor quickly, by being the first to the rim, and sometimes by just powering through multiple guys at the rim. And Tatum did that at times in this one, certainly the last game as well. They really showed force of will in this game. I think Tatum went to the mid-range a little bit too at different times in this game. And I think the story of the last two games here, beyond some gripes you might have about different moments in them, is that this is a really tough defense they're going up against. like maybe one of the 2, 3, 4 best ones in the league. It's smart. It adjusts. It shows you guys at random spots you don't expect them. You saw Brown and Tatum turn the ball over at different points just by running into different traffic that they didn't see coming. But they willed baskets against that defense and did it in whatever position they had to. It wasn't pretty. These were 2 grinded out games. But these are games, at least one of them, that they probably lose in the past just by not executing consistently enough offensively or not willing enough offense. You didn't see a lot of complaining in this game. You didn't see a lot of begging for calls. You didn't see a lot of them looking for someone else to bail them out. They just willed their way to tough baskets when they needed them. And again, you went on some droughts, had some bad turnovers in this game, had some bad moments throughout, giving up runs, but they responded pretty well each time. And I thought it was pretty fitting that Tatum and Brown connected on the decisive basket there. Tatum hitting Brown when it got a little scary there in the final few minutes for a big 3 that pretty much iced the game at that point. But you're right, John. They went on some droughts there. This is why coming in, I said, you got to take this Cavs team seriously. This is a real team. Even without Mitchell tonight, they played a hell of a game. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they didn't have Mitchell. What the hell are they doing? They played a great game, Cleveland did tonight without him. And the Celtics responded great here. Like, this is a playoff win. This is a hard hat win, as Jimmy often does.
Wow, I like that. Real quick before we transition, and I want you guys to follow up here. We always put up all the super chats, and we do thank you, even if we don't address them all. Dirk wanted to see more ball movement. We put that up earlier. Absolutely, you don't want to see them go ISO down the stretch. I'll never understand it for the life of me. And again, it comes down to Joe trusting his guys, but that tendency is just, it doesn't work. It just can't. Agree. Recommendations, we're not going to tell you now, but if you want to reach out to any of us at the DM, I'm sure we'd be happy to give you our series of recommendations as you're coming to Boston here. Hyman, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I apologize. Let us know. Jimmy, you're muted, my man.
Wow, I've been muted this whole time. That's crazy.
Yeah, good bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you must have really enjoyed that. No, I was gonna say he can DM me if he wants details, but just
you came out of the shoot guns blazing. I thought your microphone just ran out of batteries,
Yeah. Embrace being a tourist. Your first time here, you're only here for a couple of days. Do the touristy stuff, go on a duck boat, walk the Freedom Trail, go to Fenway Park if the Sox are playing, and get dinner in the North End. That would be my
Can we I want to bring up a topic here because I think we overlooked it a little bit last show, and I think it's pretty important to bring up early in this one. How good has Drew been? I mean, they needed him to step up when White started cooling off a little bit here, and it's almost like he perfectly sensed that moment. Like, I got to get aggressive here, and he just found his shot again and again in this one, and a lot of it, shots falling. But he showed a great feel for the game these last couple of nights here in Cleveland. This is the best basketball we've seen him play in Boston.
For a holiday?
Perfect the form. Love it.
This was his best. This was his best game, maybe all around game. But you know what? Yeah. When you go into that fourth quarter, they kind of took the ball away from him a little bit because they went into their ISO. You kind of neutralized the person who was your most impactful player consistently all night. Obviously, Tatum was Tatum. Brown hit his ridiculous shots, which is what Brown does. Holiday impacted the game in every way imaginable. This was a deep defensive player of the year night for him. He was ridiculous defensively. And the boards he was grabbing was not just like empty calories, rebounds up against the trees. He had a great flow on offense. He had a real control and a feel for, what needed to happen. I really enjoyed having the ball in his hands tonight. I would have kind of stuck with that a little, particularly with White not able to create or, find his own shot. So I wish they stayed with him, but he was through 3 quarters. He was awesome. Not like he went away in the fourth, but less of an impact there because of the style they played.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely, it felt like the prototypical Celtics relay kind of game where the guy that has been just smoking his portion of the race, Derek White, has cooled off. So he gives the baton to, Drew, and Drew is just blazing down floor and just making plays happen both ends of the floor. I thought, particularly defensively, John, he didn't buy into that whole drop coverage. He wasn't going under the screens. He was fighting through those and using that. And he realized that the refs were going to let them be fairly physical defensively, and he used that to his advantage. There were a number of times where he was just knocking Garland off of the spot he wanted to get to, knocking Strus back, and there was no call. And allowing him to be physical was huge in this game. And he was smart enough to recognize that and make the most of those moments.
Yeah, it's 2 games in a row now that Holiday's turned back the clock a little bit, if you will. If people were a little bit concerned, we talked about it a couple of games ago. We're like, yikes, that contract. But what I said at the time, I'll say again, I'm not worried about that contract. I'm not worried about the last year of that contract or the last 2 years even. Holiday's got, 4 years after this year. Their window is, they might not even be thinking about 4 years. Just thinking about, this guy can help us win now. He can help us win this year. He can help us win next year. And what I mean by that is win a championship. And these are the types of performances that just reminds you of what he's still capable of at, his age and wherever he's at in his career. He's not even close to at the end of it, and on any given night, like you said, John, he can be that enforcer. He can be that physical presence on both ends. The points are a bonus. You definitely want to see him hit double digits. The last 2 games, obviously he has, but it's what he's given you, like you said, in the trees, on boards, defending guys, just being a menace that, I don't know if you want to say he got away with one at the end of that third quarter there, but, just that in your face,
that was a foul.
Defense of the 3-point. Yeah, it is. But it's like, for some reason, it's considered not a foul. And I don't know why.
I understand
I've seen it go against the
through, but that was like, as he was shooting, it totally affected him. It totally affected the shot.
Yeah, I agree.
He was awesome. He was awesome.
I've seen it go. I've seen it go against the Celtics too. But yeah, he was great. And then again, like, I go back to this. They just rarely make mistakes, those guys. I mean, Holiday and White, when they're out there on the court, you just feel safe. It's almost like your security blanket when they're out there. And yeah, there's still some issues with execution down the stretch, more on the offensive side. But I got to say, when they're in the game, I'm not worried that they're going to blow it for them somehow. I'm not worried that they're going to lose it by doing the wrong thing or trying to do too much. It just feels like they understand the moment. And Holiday, again, Holiday's done it. Been there, done that. And you can tell, you can just see it in his eyes. He's comfortable out there.
This is it's gonna be a formula for a win. Brown, Tatum taking care of business, getting that one role player performance, because across the board you really didn't get the depth performances that you would have on your best night here.
This comment is on the other side of it's left of Zannis. I don't even go here with this stuff. Yeah.
He was like $10. No, I'm going to give $12 to say
I'm 12. That extra $2, you're going to leave that thing up there for a minute or two. And we're going to talk about it.
He hates Boston that much. He's like, I'm going to give $12.
This is why we keep talking about, though, things that could cost them down the line.
Right. That's kind of been the story all year. And people are like, why are you hating? It's a win, during the year. And it's really like, yeah, you're grading. You're looking. You've been looking 2 rounds ahead the whole time, through these playoffs. It's sure this worked here, but it's an undermanned team without their 2 best players. And it's fine. It's a win on the road, but you want to see it cleaner, you want to just see, those in the last 2 games, to the Celtics credit, again, from an effort standpoint, for pockets, they really brought it. I mean, I think their effort was there both games, but focus has kind of waxed and waned at times, which is just weird. And, coming out flat in that third quarter, or, various times where you're like, oh, so they just completely fell asleep on that, or they went under on that, or nobody got out on the shooter there, some sloppy stuff. It's strange to have it, but it's the playoffs. It's going to muck it up. I think it's a fair point, Bobby, that you put it in there that somebody was we got an auction going on here, by the way, that Cleveland does make it harder on you. I know you caught up with Wade at shoot around today, and he's just talking about the layers that they need to be throwing at Tatum to make sure there's somebody else. And by the way, $12. Do we hear 12? Do we hear 1201 going once? Going twice now. 1201 sold. Mike Palumbo without using Google. Which country is Jokic from? Come on.
Oh, love that. And now, in order to answer that question, you have to go. Yeah, exactly. We won't put it up unless you don't. He's calling him a casual. Mike Palumbo is calling him a casual.
Wow,
that's good stuff. I love it. But yeah, I think. Where's my super chat? Tatum only does 50s. You got one up here?
No, he just wants to get a free post, I think.
I don't know. Tatum.
I am gonna go check out what Drew's saying in the locker room. So
All
I'll
right,
be
good.
back
Send
right
Ahmed
after that.
back. I need some more graphics. Excellent. Thank you. Go get him, Bobby. That was Bobby Manning, ladies and gentlemen.
Bobby
Well,
making the earliest appearance I've ever seen.
I pushed him. I pushed him a little bit
I
tonight.
love it.
I said we want to hear from you. We want to get you on there. The people clamor for it. We can't go 50 minutes without Bobby Manning, can we?
People hate us by then, as they should.
Hate
As they
We're
should.
so,
I
it's
hate
so
myself
boring.
by then. Yeah.
Yeah, count. You talk about like count Jimmy's word count. First 40 and like last 30.
Oh,
last 30. And then count Sherrod's yawn count in the last like 20, 25 minutes.
Well, nobody wants to hear me say the same shit all over again once Bobby.
Which is why I'm yawning. That is why I'm yawning, because I don't want to say, facts, my dog.
Yeah,
I'm trying to fight through it.
I'm
trying to fight through it.
I want to say facts, my dog. But
so we need to hear from those guys a little bit. We also need to hear me talk about our lovely sponsors. And first off, we're going to, of course, start with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, more than 3 million members. Easiest, most exciting way to get in the game. Can I do this? Is this right?
There you go.
There it is.
Take a look at the players.
Nice.
So pretty. Win up to 100 times your money. With Prize Picks, little as 4 correct picks, you pick more or less on 2 or more players. Stats. Watch the winnings roll in.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy in the middle going through?
Community games, play with celebrities, injury insurance. It has it all. It's a super easy to download app. I think Bobby's been hammering more on Tatum. Last couple months come through for him, which is great. So again, all you have to do, download that app, use the code CLNS, first deposit match up to 100. Once again, download the app, use that code right there. You see it on the screen, CLNS, for a first deposit match up to 100. Why not get in on the action? It is Prize Picks. It is pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's that easy, Jimmy. That's all you have to do. We also want to tell you quickly about Game Time. Game 5 tickets. Sure. Yeah. Well, everyone wants to see closeouts. And after that, it's going up and up and up, and it's going to be hard to get into these games. And that's why you need Game Time, an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA. Makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices of the Game Time app actually go down as it gets closer to tip-off. And now Jimmy's going to tell you a story about how he goes to bars and he waits it out, and then eventually you just get in there.
I'm done. I'm not going to games anymore. I'm the jinx at Bruins games.
We're saving Jimmy's words for later in the show because we're going to need them because we used up some Bobby early. But killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, panoramic view of your seat selection.
John's going to tell you how he gets a press pass and he doesn't have to use it.
That. You notice how I skipped that one, Jimmy?
Yeah, I wasn't going to let you.
Improvising.
I
improvised. I was going to talk about going to the Sphere.
You should tell him. Actually, you can't tell him everything, I bet, but you can tell him about how you went.
Flash deals, all sorts of different things. And the best part, or one of the best parts, but a great part, lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 1/10 of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms do apply. Create that account, use the code CLNS. That is, let me spell it out for you, CLNS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Anyway, back to the game. Jimmy, what do you have left?
I got one more thing, John.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Don't forget.
But Jimmy, you can't triple stack these.
There we go.
What can I do?
We can't do 2 ads and a merch promo. It's too much at once. Save it.
All right, fine. Then we'll save it. A little teaser. But I will say this. If you are interested, 20% off, code 9MORE. That's the number 9 more. Check out the merch store. But I'll do a full plug later.
It's so funny how just you and Nick determine the codes. No one tells me. I have no idea that this is happening.
Yeah, it's so that it goes smoothly.
It's 9 more?
Wow. So you're saying John is a pothole? John is a pothole in the process?
Say it. I didn't say it.
You kind of did. You kind of did.
Wow, we got $39.99 SAR. I'm not sure what that is, but I appreciate it.
I'm assuming it's Saudi Arabia.
By the way, I found Tatum's post. it was very, very beginning of the show. He said a traffic cone is greater than Luke Cornett, and then he apologized to Bobby. Luckily, Bobby wasn't on to see this because he would be upset.
Yeah.
We don't want
Yeah.
to. Anyways,
Okay,
what else?
Only
Let's talk
Oh,
Tatum. Let's talk Tatum for a minute.
Only cool kids talk about merch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't look cool in it. It's just for the up and comers. By the way, very
That's
exciting
cool.
merch announcement later. Very exciting merch announcement. I want to talk Tatum.
I can't wait.
I bet you can't. Well, everyone has to stay tuned.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Can we
Tatum,
talk-
Jimmy. Let's
Can we
go.
go back to the game, please?
Jimmy's the
Let's
boss.
talk
Yeah.
Tatum. Let's go.
Go
Damn
ahead,
it.
Coach.
You talk Tatum.
Sean, are you all their bosses? Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. Let's talk Tatum. I love the way Tatum started this game. I really do. Thought he was aggressive. I thought he was getting to the hoop. He had a nice block, if I recall. Great block. And I
Looks
didn't
good.
think that he was forcing shots. I know that you can look at the stat line all you want. I haven't even looked at it, to be completely honest, to see what he ended up with. I know he ended up with 33 points, but as far as efficiency and all that goes, if you watch the game, I think for most of the night, 9 of 15. Oh, sorry, that was okay. 11 of 25. Brown was 9 of 15. Brown's been the efficient one. We'll get into him later too. But Tatum gets to the line tonight again, much like he did in game 3. And I just like what I'm seeing. Still a little off on the 3-point shot, but that's okay. I like the aggressiveness, the assertiveness. I didn't like the complaining again. I think it was in the second quarter. He got teed up, but whatever, it happens. I think I'm still going to start calling it the Jason Tatum experience. We talk about it with Marcus Smart back in the day. I think with Tatum, that might just be a little bit part of his game. And sometimes you're going to be a little frustrated with the shot selection, but then he goes ahead and he like hits one of those crazy step backs with somebody right in his face. And you're like, okay, well, expect to see a couple more of those go up again later. Just like what I saw from Tatum the last couple games. And as Bobby mentioned, this is your recipe. It's not rocket science. This is your recipe for success. Your two best players are far and away your two best players in the game. That's Tatum and Brown. I thought Brown once again was right back and forth with Tatum. There were stretches in this one where, Brown would hit the tough shot and Brown was the consistent one and Brown was bringing the energy and getting to the line and all those things. So 2 games in a row now, these two guys have really stepped up to the occasion. And the Celtics again are 1 game away from moving to the Eastern Conference Finals. The way things are shaking out, they just got to continue playing like this and they should.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jinx anything, but they should continue their success.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Sherrod.
No, I was just going to say that the big thing with Tatum is he did exactly what a top 5, top 10 player should do. You should be the one.
Ooh, we got top 5 Tatum.
We got impact Tatum. I
Okay.
still think that there are aspects of his game where he's not quite back to being top 5 Tatum, but impact Tatum we saw tonight. And this is what you're supposed to do when you Tatum should be the first, either on a night like this, Tatum should be the best player on the floor. And if you're not, Jaylen Brown should. And that's exactly what happened. We've had too many games where Tatum has taken a back seat or been in a damn trunk when others are riding shotgun, other guys are in the backseat who are playing better than him. And this was not one of those games. His impact at both ends of the floor from the jump was noticeable. 16 of his points came in the first quarter. And that's the kind of impact that you need. And Jaylen Brown, I think Jaylen has been the best player in the playoffs for the Celtics, to be honest.
And he did it again tonight. He saved him again tonight.
He did. And we'll talk about the big shot that he hit where Tatum dribble drived and kicked it to him in the corner. But before that was the big shot, I thought. The one where he just rose up, did his double clutch thing, knocked it down. It just basically took all the air out of Cleveland's hopes of finding a way to come back and win that game. And he's done that more in the postseason this year than Jason has. I mean, he's been that guy. He's been the alpha for this team. And go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go finish up. Sorry, I thought.
No, and I think it'll be interesting to see how this continues to play out. Whether he'll continue to be that alpha, and if that's the case, if they win a championship, and we're looking at Jaylen Brown as like Finals MVP, what does that mean for the whole Tatum Brown dynamic? And again, that's a conversation for another day. But it's something that I think if we are at a point where it becomes a legitimate topic of conversation, you're going to look back at these playoff series as being kind of the genesis of that conversation coming to fruition.
So we've gone back and forth on it a ton, and so like here's where I've landed on it. I don't think it's like crazy new ground here, but in the Tatum Brown, because you already got it in here. Jalen's that guy. Jalen's that alpha. Tatum is asked and expected to do more because the offense runs through him a little bit more. He's definitely a better playmaker and set things up. I actually thought his passing was outstanding tonight.
Yep.
Made a lot of good reads and a lot of good decisions. And it's interesting, and it's actually not that surprising when you think about their games going the way that they did. He did have it going early, and when the shots are falling a little bit, as Bobby said, he got to some spots. But on the whole, I think Tatum's game is more impactful. I also think he is a borderline elite defender when he's absolutely locked in there, and he can guard a bunch of different positions. We've seen him do it. But Brown's just a better bucket getter, and Brown hits shots that are 20%ers 60% of the time. There's not anybody like that. So what's happened? I mean, and it happened again in the second half tonight. Brown was limited in his time. He only played 14 minutes because he got that fourth foul and he had to sit for a little bit there. Tatum goes the full friggin' 24 in the second half, I think. I don't think he came out.
That's awesome.
24. He played the full 24, but he's only 3 of 11, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. And where it goes with Tatum is when they have a lead and they go into shutdown, slow down mode is where you see the worst versions of Tatum, because when he is isoing and try to force buckets, he's just not as good at it as Brown is. Brown's just better at it. So Brown delivers in those moments. Tatum was a little frustrating to watch in that second half because offensively, he was not taking great shots or making great decisions. He was forcing it, and he's just not as good at forcing it. Between the two, if I want someone to force a shot, it's Brown 10 out of 10 times because he freaking hits him. It's insane. And that's what he did tonight, 5 of 7 in those 14 minutes. And he was just, again, extremely efficient from difficult spots on the court. A lot of shots you don't want anyone to take, and he's just hitting them. So again, Brown was terrific. He also hit 5 of 5 free throws in the second half after bricking his first 2. So that had to make you feel a little bit better as well. He did it again. He kind of not bailed him out, but when Tatum cooled off, and some of his shots became difficult and were harder to hit because Cleveland's forcing him into spots that he doesn't necessarily want to be sometimes, or throwing a lot of defenders at him. Brown just kept coming, and he did it 2 games in a row. So he's been awesome in the shot making category. He's been unreal, and he was awesome again tonight. So hats off, Jalen. Jalen gets there. It is. That's us talking Jalen.
Wow,
for later,
that was big of you.
The brownie.
For later on when these assholes start. No, he can't get the brownie. It doesn't
Can't
work
get
that
the brownie,
way.
unfortunately.
Can't get
Pritchard.
The brownie.
You know who does? Pritchard. Pritchard gets my brownie tonight.
Yeah.
Or maybe Holiday, but I think Pritchard's gonna get the brownie from me just so that we have an excuse to talk about him. We don't need to do it now, but at some point we will. But to your point, John, and again, similar to Tatum, I think these guys had very similar games.
And this is fair too.
To game 3. Yeah, that could be true.
They throw a lot of bodies at him for sure.
Brown's more willing to, like you said, John, draw the contact, take the mid range, get fouled, force something wild, and is more likely to just go in on a whim. Like, totally get that. The fourth quarter is frustrating, and I think they got to stop playing the clock. I think that's part of it. When you get down the stretch, that's why the game slows down a little bit. They start looking up, tick, tick, tick. How many possessions are left? And then all of a sudden it's like you just stopped playing the style of basketball that got you that lead to begin with, to put you in the position that you're in. You know what I mean? And so the Cavs, I got to give the Cavs a little bit of credit for just continuing to fight back when it felt like that was it. It felt like, the Celtics are up, 12 or whatever. That's going to do it. And then all of a sudden, 6 or 7 straight from the Cavs, and it's a 1 or 2 possession game. Couple of chances there for the Cavs to even take the lead. I'll
throw this Kess comment up as you say that. Do you agree with this? So here it is. We're being nice right now, and they won the game, and it was gutsy win. And Bobby said, and Jimmy's wearing his hard hat, and he's coming out here and friggin' banging on it, and it was a good win.
That's what I do, baby.
Is this a fair comment? Too close? Are they learning the right lessons? Again, stuff you get away with against a depleted Miami and a Cleveland squad. Can you get away with it other places?
you can get away with it here in the Eastern Conference because
Yeah.
every team is depleted and less talented than you. But I've said this all year. You can't just form these bad habits and expect to just flip a switch and break them. And they haven't broken them. They're getting away with it, John and Bobby joins us again. They're getting away with it because the Cavs simply don't have the talent. Certainly tonight without Donovan Mitchell, although, again, credit where it's due. They fought hard and they did have an opportunity in this one. But that's never going to work in a 7-game series. You might catch lightning in a bottle for a game. It's not the NFL. It's not just one and done. It's 7-game series. And that's why more often than not, the more talented team does advance in these playoffs. Now, that is the Celtics throughout the Eastern Conference. I think you're going to be able to make that case. It looks like the Knicks, unfortunately, are banged up. The Pacers are hot and cold. Halliburton's a little banged up. So the Celtics might be able to get away with this type of behavior, if you will, until they get to the NBA Finals. But an NBA Finals is not good enough. Fans, rightfully so, and the players and the organization want a championship. I'll tell you right now, if you show up and you're meeting the Nuggets or you're meeting the Timberwolves, at least those two teams. I mean, you can make the case they might be able to get away with it against a team like Dallas or whatnot. But those two teams are going to make you pay for your mistakes.
Yeah, and Kess, I'll bump this one again. Yeah, we are being a little nice because again, you don't want to be those assholes coming out here after a playoff win where everything is harder and just winning is really what's most important, and go all negative here.
Sorry,
but
I didn't mean to do that.
Yes, no, it's fine. I would absolutely say, yeah, there's a part of me that's it's not rage, but there's definitely concern with some stuff because you talk about. Jimmy just mentioned forming bad habits. These are ingrained bad habits you have to work hard to get to get rid of, right?
That's my point. They formed them in the regular season.
They formed them over the course of forever. But anyway, Bobby, what have you learned since last we saw you?
Yeah, we talked to Drew in there. I thought the most interesting thing by far was that he revealed that the Celtics like the Cavs being in the paint. That's where they want them to live. They're okay living with some of those drop-offs and dunks, and the contested twos are what they want. But right now they look at it as the Cavs are out shooting them from three. They're hitting contested threes in a lot of these circumstances. So if they hit some contested twos, if they hit some drop-offs in that back line there, they're willing to live with that a little bit rather than giving up some of those threes that shifted momentum in many different circumstances in this game. And I gotta look, did they outshoot the Celtics from three again? Yeah, 48-32. That's unbelievable.
The number was up the whole time. It was that way at half. They had the edge and they stayed there. They've
done that all year against them. Yeah, it's a big way they've kept these games close, and that's tough to live with. The Celtics obviously do that to most teams on any given night, and that's why they end up building ginormous leads over many other teams because they're doing all the other stuff too. When you lose that advantage here, and the Celtics have in this series, during the regular season series they did too against the Cavs, you got to find other ways to win, and that's what's kept these games close. And the Celtics are trying to work on that a little bit going into Game 5 because that could have lost you this game. That could have lost last game. Fortunately, they only shot 31% for the Celtics' sake there, so the margin ended up being a little closer, but they still beat you 15-12 just because of the 3-point margin there. So Drew saying they'll live with the twos. They'll live with the paint touches. And it's interesting because we're looking at it and saying, man, they're getting killed in the paint. But it looks like that's something that they're willing to live with right now. And you see it, right? They're putting two on the ball a lot of the time. That drop-off pass is there. They are kind of opening the lane a little bit for the Cavs. Not that they want them to go in there and dunk every time. Obviously they want to see the floaters and mid-rangers, which I'm sure the Cavs aren't shooting great on right now. But it's an interesting strategy by the Celtics right now to kind of hedge on letting the Cavs inside a little bit more.
We talked about Holiday earlier, who was great. Derek White, as we know, has not been. Curse of the Garden report, we'll call it. No, you know what? Yeah, curse of Josue. And people jumped all over me the other day when I was talking about Tatum needing to play better because you can't count on role players. And by role players just meant supporting cast. Not that he's not out there, playing the role of, friggin' he's not PJ Tucker. he's a really good player, almost fringy all-star level sort of player who's going to get, all defensive consideration and, has carried the team offensively multiple times during the year, but you can't expect it out of White. And he does go hot and cold at times. And that's just not him. He's not that guy who you can count on for 30 a night. So when you are, that's a bailout. When he's you don't want to see the extremes because those are harder to come back from. But you have to factor in tonight between Horford and White, two guys that you're counting on to do a lot, especially with Porzingis gone, being non-factors offensively for much of the night, if not all of the night. Kind of put a strain on everybody else to get things going here. I mean, they tried to get some of these guys involved, and it just wasn't working. I mean, Al got 7 shots up. He got as many shots up as Jalen in the second half. 4 threes, missed them all. It was just hard. And the same thing. White was trying, just couldn't get it going.
And they were good looks.
Yeah,
I mean, there was one where Tatum drove into the paint, drew 2 or 3 defenders, kicked it to Al in a corner. Al had time to set up, get his feet, spin the ball, grab a snack, raised up, and it was a brick. And it was that kind of game for him. So it's definitely noteworthy. The level of concern just depends on where you are with Al and what he's doing outside of scoring the ball. But
it's not even concern. I just think you have to factor that into why tonight was difficult. It's easy to put it on the slowdown and stuff that happened and always look at the big dogs here and not like their fourth quarter. But I mean, that really hurt them. Those guys couldn't get it going. You missed Jalen for a chunk there when he caught that 4th foul. You look at that entire second half, they were brutal. They shot 36% from the field, 31 from 3 in the second half. I mean, it just wasn't good. I mean, 47 points. It was just they sputtered the whole time there. So offensively, it just didn't look it didn't look good for a lot of the night.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough on certain nights in this postseason against a team like this, especially. And we go back to winning different ways here, right? Because when Tatum was struggling in those early games, we said, "Oh, good thing the role guys are picking them up because if they weren't, they'd be losing these games." Now the role guys struggle in a game like this, and Tatum, Brown have to lead the way, and they did here.
Right.
And
that's why we were killing them earlier. Is those guys have to be the guys most nights, right? Not killing them, but just putting a lot on them. That's what you make the big bucks for.
And now after watching Tatum tonight and Saturday night, again, it's the same argument we always have with people, John. It's like, this is the more in line with the Tatum that people should be wanting to see
from an approach, for sure.
Yeah, from the approach, not the one that we saw to start this playoff series that everyone is insisting on telling us. Well, look at everything else he's doing. No, we have eyes. We know what good Tatum looks like, or top 5 Tatum looks like to an extent, and this is much more in line with that player than what we had seen previously. Bobby, is there something wrong with Derek White? Like physically?
Yeah. What was the story when he left? When he left the court for a little bit, came back, it was confusing because it looked like he went out with trainers into the tunnel, and I was like, uh-oh. And at that point, Brown had just come out with his 4th foul, and Al was bordering on unplayable, and now White was headed for the tunnel, and Cleveland was starting to make a run here. It was about 7 points. It was like, oh God, this is bad. And then he came right back, sat on the bench. And nothing happened. But did you see him get hurt? What happened?
There was a play midway through the 4th where he chased the ball out of bounds and went pretty hard into the stands. Saw him stumbling around a little bit after that. But other than that, I didn't see too much. And then he came out and hit the 2 free throws after that. But no, nothing that I saw there. I mean, he's prone to get it banged up through the course of a game just based on his playing style there. So maybe something came up, but he's usually just going to roll right through it. I don't think that had anything to do with his performance tonight. I think he just missed some shots. And, again, the ball flowed toward Holiday tonight, and it was his night. He talked about that a little bit too. He was bad in those first 2 games, he said. White picked him up. In a game like this, White didn't have it. We didn't get those opportunities. And Holiday, who I think more and more looks like a great kind of mismatch hunter. Like, I remember the game in Denver where he was going at Jokic late in that game. Tonight, he got Garland a lot of the time and was able to make him pay or manipulate some help and get it to a guy like Cornette in the paint for, a nice trip to the free throw line there.
Shit, he went at Mobley in game 3. I mean, I don't think, he's like,
Fearless.
I'm going to put my
gonna go at
shoulder
anybody.
in his sternum, knock him back 3 feet, and shoot a lefty hook over this 7-footer here. And he's pretty fearless when it comes to that. He's so strong, physical, but also quick enough to be able to contort, twist, turn just enough to get that shot off. He can almost do that against most people, but when he's got somebody who's lighter and smaller, he can absolutely, muscle him down and do that. It's a real weapon, and he does see it, and he just goes right to it. He's like, all right, I'm backing him down.
I'm not concerned about he's shooting 50%.
I'm not concerned. I'm simply just saying it's a variance.
It's going to come down there.
Yeah.
It's going to come down there when you're shooting at that level.
It's not a concern thing. He might go out for 35 next game, but that variance. He's been really hot and cold here with these games. We're just mainly pointing out that's why it's so important for Tatum and Brown to be on point every night, or as close to it as possible.
I mean, you can't rely on him to drive you a championship. Like I said, it'd be cool if he won Finals MVP just because of the contributions he's made and the massive role he's played. If he's able to contribute at that level, but realistically, you're not going to have a role guy go off through the length of the playoffs and carry you to a championship while Tatum shooting 40%, which is why we made the deal we did about Tatum playing at that level. So that's really the story of the last 2 games in many ways here is Tatum finding himself, finding a level of aggression, playing through a little bit of a shooting struggle, some increased turnovers over the last couple of games. I'm okay with because he played with that level of aggression, and Brown sort of has rolled with that too here. I just think it's so important to see him play with a downhill mentality too here in these games. These were really tough, challenging performances and a tough environment for him to play in, and he came through great here.
Listen to Blurp, like and subscribe. If Nick's not here to tell you to like and subscribe, then if the boss of this company is not going to tell you, then the boss of this chat is. Okay, like and subscribe, you beautiful people. Okay, Blurp. Blurping it up here. And while you are liking and subscribing, and tell your friends, there's more to come. While you're liking and subscribing to the YouTube channel and liking this video, we're going to tell you briefly about PXG, and everybody loves a PXG commercial, and everybody loves PXG's products. Mission to create high-quality performance golf clubs, but they're bringing the same passion and excellence to their new line of apparel. What am I wearing, Jimmy?
Little PXG hat. I know you had a hat too, huh? Look at that.
I got a hat too. Yeah. And they nailed it. Really good stuff. The new line of apparel, premium materials,
they make
technology.
XXL hats.
Yeah, very
That's quite
good.
The dome.
Okay, P-head. Did Bobby leave us? Back to the 3-shot.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep telling you about it. Yeah, I didn't know they made children's hard hats.
They do, actually.
That's amazing.
Actually, they're one size. They're adjustable, so you can actually adjust it to any size.
Really amazing. Yeah. My twins have the same exact one.
Well, they're going to be available in the merch store soon.
Let me get through this, okay?
You have the
From
floor.
golf trips to romantic getaways, dynamic pieces, versatility, standout style at every event. Something for everyone. Pants, polos, sweaters, hats. No hard hats, but quarter zips, yes. Joggers, jackets, skirts. As I said, I got a hat. I got a couple of polos. They're awesome, awesome, awesome shirts. Really wear them anywhere. I would go on the golf course, but I think I quit, Jimmy. I think I quit. I think I'm done.
You can't quit.
We'll talk about it later. Elevate your style game on and off the course with PXG Spring and Summer 2024 collection. Head over to pxg.com/Garden Report and use the code Garden Report at checkout to save 10% on all apparel. That's pxg.com/Garden Report. Code Garden Report, save 10% on all apparel. I'm only golfing if I'm going with you and Perry and Hart. That's it.
Oh, we can arrange that. We can definitely arrange that. You might actually win that round. I wouldn't say any of us are going low, but we can make that happen. I might go golfing this weekend for the first time. I haven't even swung a club this year, so it should be interesting.
Yeah. But do you want to do your merch plug here? If we're gonna talk about,
we might as well. Yeah, I got a little overlay here too. Look at this. Use code 9MORE, guys. The code is 9MORE.
Nick is doing this code simply to help Jimmy with the math, so I don't have to test him every game.
It took me 45 minutes to figure out that the code is 9MORE. That's why we're putting the lower third up. 20% off shop.clnsmedia.com. And you will see here in this little full screen, a couple of little items that you could get right now. We get the Garden Report t-shirts, the phenomenal t-shirts, I'm told are back in stock or they've been ordered and they're shipping out soon. One thing you won't see in this little picture is the hard hats, but make no mistake about it, they are in production. The hard hats are in production. I put the order in this weekend. It'll be a gift from God if these things get out in time for the playoffs for everybody. But once they're put together, guys, we're not taking any shortcuts here. Okay, these are going to be hard hats. We got some stickers going on them. They're going to be high quality. They're not going to peel off. These are going to be the real deal. So when they're officially completed, we're going to put them in a limited run. I didn't buy 100 hard hats. I didn't go bankrupt doing this. But we're going to have enough for the diehards to be able to get their hands on one. Hopefully, if the Celtics can hold their end of the bargain up, people will be able to wear these during the finals. We'll see.
Let's do it. Yep. There we go. You can do it. And now Jimmy can go. Now Jimmy is
9 more. I'm out, guys. You guys have a great night.
He is now at peace.
9 more. 20% off. 9 more. That means that's code for 9 more wins, guys. 9 more wins and they win the whole thing.
Yeah, very good. Very good stuff. So back to this one again. You're looking to hopefully close it up. I don't know what's going on with Mitchell here with a calf strain. I mean, if it's an actual calf strain and he's in Porzingis land, you know, I have no idea. That could be that. That could be lights out.
That could be a wrap.
Play in this game. I mean, you got to be really, really hurting because you pretty much know you're not. I mean, again, give the Cavs credit, but you pretty much know you're not winning this game if Donovan Mitchell's not in it. So he must be really hurting, which is, again, it's a damn shame. If you're just an NBA fan, you want to see the superstars in there, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. It sucks when these guys go down. So that's too bad. He's had a great playoff run too. So.
He has, but it's catching up to him though. I mean, you look at Jalen Brunson, you look at Josh Hart, you look at a bunch of guys who have been carrying their teams forever and a day. It's catching up to them right around this time. Jalen Brunson was absolute trash in Game 4 against Indiana. It's not because he's a bad player. It's just that physically he's been playing more minutes than anyone in the playoffs, and it catches up to you at some point. And we're seeing that with Donovan Mitchell. He's like third in, I think, minutes played and second in points scored total in the playoffs. And that's a heavy-ass load for anyone to carry. And it's clear that it's taking its toll on his body. So be interesting to see if he's to go for Game 5.
I think, I mean, I bet you he goes. I think he probably
I expect him to. I expect him to play, but would not be shocked if he doesn't.
I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be surprised. I feel like as long as he can play, I think he will. I mean, if it's that serious, then he won't. But I mean, the guy did play. Must have played through it after Game 3. So I mean, it's not like he left Game 3 with the gruesome injury, and it's not like a Jared Allen situation either. I don't think so. I think he's going to try to fight it out. That doesn't mean he won't be effective. I mean, talk about a guy who's physical and all over the court, up and down.
That's what I mean.
He needs to take 25 shots minimum for him to have a chance in this game. So
which is why the Celtics also need to get Porzingis back soon, so they don't tax out their other stars. Because we're back to last year's, I'm afraid to play anyone minutes from everybody with here. And I know it's the playoffs and everything's going to go up, but you start ratcheting up these guys. You have a good enough team to still keep them at 37, 38, 39 instead of going into 40. Tatum playing the entire second half is not good for long-term success. That we saw what happened to them in the finals a couple of years ago. They were burnt out. Ime played them into the ground and a little bit, more than you want last year too. So I definitely want to see things level out a little bit here,
right.
If possible.
I mean, you want to listen. Take care of business on Wednesday. That's all I have to say. Put the Cavs out of there
and hope that other thing goes 7, and then you can chill.
Right. The Pacers and the Knicks are beating the hell out of each other. Their guys are dropping like flies. Let them play another week, and you guys can everyone in the Celtics can rest up and be ready to go for for the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't have to travel anywhere. They'll be 10 days. They'll be hanging around. That's a huge advantage.
It is.
So if you smell blood, which the Celtics should right now,
go for the kill.
Go for the kill at home.
Go for the kill.
Wednesday night. You got flopping around. They're flopping around these Cavs right now. They don't want to play Game 6.
A man who absolutely went for the kill in the fourth quarter, and we talked about him earlier tonight, Jaylen Brown. You could see how fired up he was, in this one. He was fired up all night. He was really pissed off about that fourth foul. He didn't want to come out of that game. Yeah. Then when he hit that three, he was just barking at everybody.
Grabbed Strue's foot at one point too.
He was fired up. Again, you love all of it when you're seeing the energy, that level of energy coming from Tatum and Brown. And here's Jaylen after the game talking about why he was so jacked up.
Big three there in the last 2 minutes, and what do you think about your guys' execution offensively in those crunch time moments? And then you also got pretty fired up after that play. Did someone hit you on that as you're going back down the floor?
No, Tyler, who the official who was running down the sideline, I don't think he was paying attention, but he was like in the play. So as I'm lifting up, like I bumped into him first. I had to push him out the way to catch the ball and able to knock the shot. But it's like, it was like he was an extra defender right there because he was in the way. So that's what I was telling him to get his ass out the way.
Jason also hit you like a congratulatory hit, and you look.
Jazz out the way, Rap.
Jason back for that. I wasn't paying no attention. He just comes out of nowhere with a left hook straight to the chest. I'm gonna get him back for that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
maybe they like each other.
Yeah.
Really.
Really? They don't like each other, John? Really? They're not friends?
Jaylen looked at him like, "What the? You hit me like that for?" Yeah.
I like playoff Jaylen right now. I like playoff Jaylen. He's leveling up. That's what you have to do. I've been saying it ever since the playoff. Everybody has to level up. If you don't, the other team is. There goes that advantage that you once have. You have to continue that advantage by also taking it to that next level. Jaylen Brown's done that. Attitude-wise, love what I see. I love the fire out there. He's passionate, but not out of control. Not to the point where he's hurting your team. Not like Grant Williams type energy. It's not clunky and goofy. It's calculated. It's when you need it the most. John, you were talking about how it seems like Brown has been just when you need a basket or when you need somebody to come through for you, it seems like it's been Brown in this playoffs. So he's got that swagger with him right now. He's riding a little bit of swagger, which is what you want.
And Tatum
got the post-game look going. He likes those sunglasses. We've seen those a few times now.
Right. He needs to get a deal with those glasses. I'm just saying. He needs to get a deal.
Maybe that's the play.
Exactly.
I'm buying though, on this version of Brown. I'm buying. No, meaning I'm buying it's not.
It's real.
The fired up, kind of leader step up the game stuff. I'm buying that it's real. I think sometimes some efforts in the past from these guys felt forced or inconsistent. You're always looking for that person to step up and is anybody following anybody? Especially when we were trying to get it to be Marcus. Tatum is kind of understated. He does it more with his style. Brown can be quiet. He can be fiery, but you wouldn't see it. I think he's kind of stepped up his all right, I'll be more of that guy sort of thing, almost in the absence of, because Holiday is understated. Horford is understated. You got pros here. Porzingis is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of really chill, and it's good because they can stay level-headed. They don't panic. They don't freak out. They like each other. They're not bickering and shit. But someone does have to kind of be that guy. I think Brown just looked around. It's I think it's me. I think it's me. And he kind of stepped into it. And I am buying a little that it's that people are taking to it a bit, and that's all right, because it couldn't be Smart. It couldn't be your sixth best player. It's really hard, That was always the challenge, going back to Ime wanting to name captains, and Tatum and Brown are nah, it's just really? Can't one of you do it? It would be great if you did, and it's hard. It's hard when it's a role player. It really has to be somebody who people look to and be like, all right, we're going to follow this dude. So I'm definitely buying a little bit right now because I think he's playing with that like dog mentality, and then people are responding to it right now.
What
And
you need.
And it seems like Tatum is buying into it as well. I mean, you look at the play. I mean, remember it seemed there was a time where Tatum would never pass him a damn ball, just wouldn't. And now Tatum not only is passing him the ball, but Tatum's getting him the rock in clutch moments where Tatum has a choice: take this fourth shot, pass it to my teammate who will take a less fourth shot. And he's making the right call more times than not with that. And again, they seem to have a clearer understanding of their roles in the whole hierarchy of leadership. And it's working out well for both of them. They both seem to be very comfortable with being who they are, regardless of whatever outside noise is out there.
I think fair. I think fair. I like it right now. It's again, I'm less concerned with like how much they like each other and whether they're just comfortable being whoever it is that they're going to be. Not the liking each other, but the whole like they need to go out on the town and be best buddies all the time. It's a funny narrative that I don't think mattered too much, but you always want people to you want to have that closeness and that bond there. Because I think when you play for other people, you're not just worried about like you failing. You don't want to let if you have that closeness, you don't want to let your brother down. I think right now that shared goal sort of thing that they've got here is real, and they see it, and they desperately want it. So again, you're really hoping Porzingis gets back, and they can kind of put the band back together and make a legitimate run here. And we're hoping he will. For those people who want to see it, I'll show you some of it right now. We did have Porzingis working out today. And this is KP at Celtics shoot around. He's doing a teeny bit more than he had been doing.
He's dressed too.
He's dressed. He moved around. I know there's some stationary stuff here. He did some drills where he did move a little bit. It's still slow. I don't know that you're seeing anything that's going to be this series. I know there was a report earlier, from Bullpat that Cavs are expecting him. I'm not expecting him yet, but pretty good that they're in the position they're in now. Hi, Josue, we're talking to you.
Where the hell did Josue just come from?
He just kind of jumped in.
The Cavs?
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's not coming back for this series. I mean,
the Cavs, there was a report earlier that the Cavs thought they were going to see him, but he is dressed. He did dress himself. That's good. Yep. Right, Jimmy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look at that. He's able to just
positive.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. And it's not a suit, but it's shorts and a warm up there. So
where's Derek White?
It's just Josue.
Never mind. Where's Derek White?
Josue, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, it's just Josue. We'll get to him later. What's up, buddy?
He's muted.
We were kidding, Josue.
He's gargling.
He has no idea where he is.
Hey,
all
fellas.
Right. Hey, fellas.
Okay.
Hey, fellas.
Watch that. That's me actually getting rid of Josue. We'll get back to Josue. We might have had some issues there. While we wait on Josue, we will say another person who was, huge tonight, and I think I don't know if you're going to give him I'm giving him the brownie. I'm going ahead and giving Holiday the brownie tonight. Okay. And he was great, but he also talked about what Joe talked about earlier, kind of the clutch time and being able to keep it together here late in the game.
Fine, or even maybe at times more satisfying to win a grimy, ugly game like this with defense.
For sure. Just like this one here said, it's been a while since we had kind of like that grinded out, tough, back and forth, fight it out game. So it felt good to really just get out there and execute and know that any type of game that we play, we can execute and get the win.
This was your first single-digit game of the entire playoff run. How unusual has it been that you haven't really played a close game yet? And then what does it take to stay focused from night to night when you're not in too many close games?
I think it's just the will to win. We know that they're not going to come out and just lay down, so we expected this. We kind of wanted it. You want it and you don't want it, but now that we've been through it, it's a good feeling, like I said, just to grind it out and get a win.
Did he refer to Abby as this one?
I missed
Uh,
that.
yeah, I
like,
didn't see that.
He was like, as this one said over here. I was like, it's Abby, dude. No, Josue, let me do it. There we go.
No, you don't
Easy.
let me on. I mean, I
Because
let me
you're
on. All right, John. I
you're
let
pressing
me
the
on.
wrong
We talked
buttons.
about this. We talked about this, John.
Where's LeBron?
Oh, look at it. Look at the comment section. Look at this. Josue. Look at it. Oh man, of course.
Yeah, you bringing LeBron on? Who you got for us? You spoiled us now. We're expecting
LeBron
you to
left
bring
before
somebody
this game was over, man.
Yeah,
This
he
game-
did the Tatum at the dunk contest tonight.
on. Wow, we're close too.
Wow, forgot about that.
The only thing that was missing was the jacket, the Tatum jacket, the long coat, the F this I got things to do jacket. Yeah.
Wow.
And Tatum's gonna get Jalen back. Or excuse me, the other way around. Jalen's gonna get Tatum back for that huge hit to the chest he gave him.
That's good.
Tatum said, "Look, man, I was amped. It was a big shot, you know." So he gave him a big bump in the chest. But yeah, man, I thought this was a great. I mean, maybe great's not the right word.
These guys injuring each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Man, I just think the way these guys made sure the worst didn't happen in that second half is the best part about this Celtics win. Tatum and Brown. I mean, first of all, Jalen, man, like this another efficient scoring night. It's incredible. And I asked him the way I wanted to phrase this question because I wanted him to say what he said. The reason why is because Joe Mazzulla talked about poise, passing the ball, how important that stuff is. He emphasized it like 3 times with Adam Himmelsbach as if he thought he was joking because the room was laughing. He's like, no, I'm serious. Like that's it. Like that's what they need to do. And asking Jalen about that, I'm like, that's what's leading to this efficiency? Everyone on the same page? And Jalen was like, yeah, but it's also me. I've been doing this. And to be frank, when I'm being aggressive, no one on that side can guard me. And I 1,000% agree with Jalen, especially when this team is playing defense at a high level, which we saw throughout this game. Not all 4 quarters. I mean, things got a little sloppy, especially in that first half. But for the most part, man, I just feel like whether it's in transition or whether it's just off the dribble, I mean, Jalen, he has that advantage in this series in a big way, and that's the reason I think he's been super efficient. He's been able to put together these performances, scoring above 50%, leading the team in scoring in the playoffs, not by a lot, but I think it's significant. You know, when you think about what Jalen's been doing.
Again, we talked about it earlier, Josue. I wouldn't say rescued, but like he's kind of been that steady and calming offensive presence when things go to shit. When they stagnate. Like Game 3, I thought. I mean, without him, he didn't let them go cold because he was so efficient. He didn't get as many shots up in the second half of Game 2 because, again, foul trouble. He played fewer minutes. He only played 14 minutes. But again, tough bucket after tough bucket, and obviously the signature bucket to kind of ice the win when it was like this could go either way here, and then he, boom, dagger, and that was it. So, yeah, Brown was awesome. You got a little bit of everything from the top 3 guys tonight, from Brown, Tatum, and Holiday. No doubt.
Holiday across the board, man. Both ends of the floor. These guys could have been in trouble if Holiday wasn't out there. I mean, maybe I'm saying the obvious here, but like I just can't like emphasize enough like the rebounding, assist, like again across the board, and just hitting some tough shots, contested 3-pointers. I mean, man, like is this what the Bucks fans are missing? You know, or is this what we Celtics fans sort of slept on the whole playoff drew? Because we're starting to see it in a big way, man. These last couple of games, and tonight I felt like throughout those grueling stretches with the Cleveland Cavaliers weren't going away. He kept them at bay in one way or another, whether on the defensive end of the side or just scoring some big shots on the other end.
Here's Tatum giving props to Holiday. I believe White too. He didn't have a great offensive game, but for all that they do.
Yeah.
One of the best defensive backcourts around. How did Drew and D. White complement each other?
Yeah, I'm just thankful that those guys on our team, you know, the intangible things that they do on the defensive end, night in and night out. Chasing shooters around or fighting through screens or coming over the top and contesting shots. They do it however long they're in the game. They're really the anchor of our defense, and we just try to match their intensity throughout.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you do.
That's what's supposed to happen when you've got 2 of the top defenders on your roster. I mean, it's literally a matter of you just following their lead because they're going to do the right thing more times than not. And one of the points we talked about earlier, sometimes the Celtics forget that they're a damn good elite team defensively. And they allow that their shot making or lack of shot making to impact what they do at the other end of the floor. And it should never come to that. They're at their absolute best when they are defending at a high level.
Yeah, for sure, Sherrod. And I'm glad, between the Tatum, thank you, Josue, John Fuse, Drew. What? Wow. Is that true? Is that accurate? I thought it said Jalen for a second, but Drew.
I'm like the biggest holiday apologist.
Yeah, you give Drew props. I thought it said Jalen. I had to double check that.
I've almost expected at some point to get called out because I've refused to say anything bad about him all year. So it's a funny comment to make, but yeah, I loved him before he got to Boston and everything here, even through he's not scoring as much as I want. People. Yeah. I don't think.
You didn't want him coming off the bench, right, John? You didn't want him coming off the bench. Yeah.
Fine, fair, Judah, fair. People just assume I say something about everybody, but yeah, you're right. I just catch strays. But yeah, it's fine. He was great. Did you try to get someone tonight? I at least want to know.
Man, these guys want to get out of here quick, man. I mean, just look at how fast Tatum spoke. Like, he never speaks that fast, and it was like right after Jalen. So, yeah, man, it's just one of those days. Like, I came out here and nobody was hanging out like they were last time. Luke was out here earlier for a little bit. But it was like Joe had spoken. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine how crushing that would be for Bobby if we did that? But next time,
if you should have totally done it. You should have totally done it. Real.
Bobby would have hopped on his phone.
If Bobby came, be like catching your wife in bed. Like if you came, you come home early from your trip to surprise your wife. She's in bed with your brother or something.
Yeah.
You take the early flight home one day, and
yeah, exactly. Bobby, don't take the early flight. You don't want to see it, buddy.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say earlier, man. That was funny.
Well, we're in a bucket.
Oh, this is what I'm gonna say.
So we're waiting. Bobby comes in the next 5 minutes, or we're gone. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, he hopped on earlier. I was surprised he was on so early, but that's good. No, I was gonna say.
I yelled at him.
I was gonna say, like, one of the ways the Celtics team could lose, and maybe it's the characteristic of the old Celtics team, but between the technical foul with Jalen and that Max Strus mix-up, Jason Tatum, like, not only complaining about a foul, but like nearly getting in one of these officials' face, man. Can you imagine? Like, that's the type of stuff that I just feel like the Celtics have really. They're getting better about that stuff because it doesn't linger like it used to. Like, I feel like that stuff used to carry over to the next quarter, and all of a sudden they're chucking up shots, and all of a sudden it's like frustration plays. But like that wasn't the case this time. These guys focused. They refocused, I should say, and yeah, you saw a lot of that connectivity during the timeouts and stuff. I remember Joe Mazzulla grabbing like Derek White and Drew Holiday, like doing these sidebars and stuff. Like, they were really into this game. And then of course, classic Joe Mazzulla quote coming after this one. Do you like this type of atmosphere? With things scrappy and all that stuff. He was like 1,000%, and I think these guys do too. And that's it, man. I mean, obviously these guys, whether it's adversity or when the unexpected happens, like, Joe loves that stuff, and the Celtics responded in a good way. Of course, 3-1 in the series, like they're supposed to. Took care of business here in Cleveland.
I wanted Bobby back because I wanted to ask him somebody in the comments asked, which is that there was a rumor out there that Noah got buckets on him in the pickup game. Is that true?
No, that's just what everybody wants, man. That is not true. That is not true, yo. The fact that, like, what is it? Like 100,000 views on Twitter. Like, and none of these comments were positive. Like, the one guy who makes a bucket, Richie, which is my assist, by the way, but whatever. No one even said a word about the dude who makes a shot. Oh, look at Bobby doing this. Look at Josue. What kind of screen?
Oh, we lose him?
Yeah. Freeze frame.
Josue was getting fired up. Josue was getting. That's the look you get when you don't feel like you get the respect you deserve on the court.
Exactly.
That's the look you get right there. But I actually. I think Noah, from what I hear, Noah actually
Noah
did
plays. Noah actually balls, and Bobby doesn't. So let's
did go to work.
let's call this for what it
Yeah.
is. She plays ball. Bobby.
Yeah. She plays ball and knows ball.
She plays
Yikes.
ball, knows ball. Bobby picked up basketball a little later in life.
Bobby
Yeah.
Thanasis was no match. Bobby Thanasis was no match, or Thanasis Manning was no match.
Honestly, I would have been shocked if she didn't put if she didn't take him
She
to
put him in a
school.
blender.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can see that.
Wow.
She plays ball.
I gotta
She
watch
plays
that clip
ball.
again. We gotta bring her on and get the real story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's funny. Good for them.
Yeah.
Is Bobby coming back on?
We don't know.
We don't know. Pritchard tonight, real quick before we end it. I thought Pritchard was huge for them in that third quarter. I think
That three, man.
That three was massive. We gave him what, like a 10-point lead or
10
something
point
like
lead.
that.
Yep.
He just came in, he maximized his role tonight, I felt like. And he's taken a little bit of criticism in this playoffs because there's been a lot of games where not just him, but the bench in general, Pritchard, Hauser, the rest of those guys, it hasn't been a bench playoffs, to say the least. So this was a game where Pritchard can be happy about that performance and maybe something to build off of a little bit. But he had some big energy moments tonight, energy shifting. That's what you want for your bench guys. You want those guys to come in. If the Celtics had stretches of flatness tonight, especially in that fourth quarter, but throughout the game, they had some stretches where they let the Cavs climb back into things, gave the Cavs a reason to believe, gave Cavs fans a reason to cheer. And then, there were a couple instances tonight where Pritchard came through for them. He had 3 threes, finished with 11 points. And I just think that he's, that was exactly what you want from, a guy coming in off the bench. 25 minutes, 11 points, nothing outrageous, but it was when he scored them that I thought was important in this game. So he gets my Brownie Award. Pritchard gets my Brownie Award tonight.
I like it.
No offense to Holiday. I had a great game, but
that's fine. Sherrod, closing thoughts before we wrap it?
No, Celtics handled their business, which they came to Cleveland to do. It wasn't always pretty, but it shouldn't be always pretty this time of year. I like what Drew Holiday is doing. It would be interesting to see if he can just finish the deal off in Boston. My gut tells me Derek White's going to have a big game 5 because he's due.
Okay. That's coming directly from the Derek White fan club.
Exactly. We don't throw that out too often.
Get the press release out, Sherrod. Is it going to be in the mailer tonight?
I like it. Well, we are wrapping it. Celtics hold on. Their first kind of grinded out win of the postseason here, 109-102. They lead the series 3-1. Game 5 is on. What's tonight?
Wednesday.
What's today? Monday? Wednesday at the Garden. Should be a closeout game. A bunch of us will be down there. I might do the show from the Garden on that one. How about that?
What?
I might do the show.
Give me a press pass. Yeah. I'll do it too. Give me a press pass.
I know. You might be the only one. The only sad. You'll be the sad girl sitting at home. That'll just be you.
I'll be at the Harp. I'm going to bring my laptop to the Harp.
Okay, that'll work. Anyway, we'll see you guys. Chat, thank you as always. You've been awesome, and we do appreciate all that you do for us. Again, subscribe, like, and all those great things, and keep it here, CLNS Media. There'll be a ton more stuff coming out on the channel later on tonight, and obviously throughout the day, and a whole host of podcasts from some of the best voices in Celtics media, including Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, Kwani Lewis with the Big 3 podcast. Still Potable with Jay King, Sam Jam Packard, and B-Rob. Celtics Beat. Yeah. What else you got? Celtics Lab. First to the Floor, which everybody in this chat knows is coming up right after this. You got to check those guys out. They bring it every single night. How about them, C's? What am I missing? I've got to be missing some. Goodman, Ryan, Cedric Maxwell, loaded. Tons of stuff. Right. Tons of stuff. So make sure you check that out. We are going to, Jimmy, were you saying something before I press?
I met a Celtics fan last night at the Bruins game visiting from Australia, and I literally sent him the First to the Floor link. I was like, dude, just hit subscribe on this podcast.
And I blew it. Eric, who's college buddies with Steve, who works over at the Celtics, big fan of the show, meant to give a shout out. Lives in New York right now, went to Northeastern. So shout out to Eric. Also, and Max, I ran into Max at my favorite Greek shop, Sophia's in Belmont. Free plug for Sophia's.
These are just fans? Love that.
Stupidly I went the day before, Greek Easter, and it was packed. And Max was like, "Hey, man, I want you guys," and it was great. And I gave him my advice on which feta he should get, and he took it. So, Max, I'm curious if you liked it. Yeah.
What'd you tell him?
Yeah. Ipitos, sheep's milk, very good.
Wow.
It's got a little of everything.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Ipitos.
It's the good stuff. Ipitos.
Love a sheep. Love it. You saying sheep's milk? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Love that.
Love it.
Love that. I'll have to get some.
Yeah.
All right.
So
well, Wednesday it is hump day. I might have to get weird on Wednesday if you guys are all partying too. I'm gonna have to do the same. It's gonna be nice out too.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Josue and Bobby jumping on from Cleveland. Those guys are on their way home. Amit, of course.
Hope we don't have to go back there.
Rich LeMay, our social media producer extraordinaire, and the guy who scored in that bucket, scored the bucket in that video that you guys were all talking about. So,
wow.
Thank you to Richie on the road. Yep. He's young. He's spry. This gets the kids. You got to see all the olds trying to move around.
I would work these kids. Dude. I would absolutely work.
I'm sure you would.
Still get up and down the court.
I'm sure you would. We'll see you guys later. Take care.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal.
Forfeit's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.